Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Dune Awakening video. Today I have quite a treat for you shotgun lovers, or as we say in the Dune universe, scattergun lovers. In today's video I will be highlighting the build that I've chosen for this run, but also the tactics that I'm using as I go through. This first technique here I call waiting out the spice. This is so that we can achieve optimal spice timing for our cooldowns between spice activations. I developed this technique after hundreds of runs and found the ideal time to be about 1 minute after activation. If you saw my previous Inferno Trooper video, you'll see the gravity field and explosive grenade combo in action. And for the shotgun trooper build, they're back, with a little added addition. The Sentinel turret makes its return, replacing the knee charge. The aim of this build was to be able to use the scatterguns as often as possible for as much of the damage as possible. It requires you to have a lot of light darts on hand, but it's super fun and rewarding to play. I have chosen the Perforator as my weapon of choice. You can see the reflexive reload passive in action here. After a grenade throw, it instantly reloads the weapon you're holding. Essentially, while spice is activated and the explosive grenade is ready, the Perforator has 6 shots per reload. So here's the strat that I developed for the Sentinel turret at the beginning of each wave. With the Sentinel in place, we gravity mine, we explosive grenade, and we perforate. After using melee for predominantly 90% of my runs, I have to admit this build feels really good. And as you'll see towards the end of the video, a lightning fast run. You can see the Sentinel in the background dealing with the heavy, while I deal with the melee. Thank you, little Sentinel. It's super strange that this guy just stood there and didn't come to fight me. But anyway, I brought the fight to him. If you keep the pressure up during these fights, you can get them to dart out of their own suspensor blasts. Sucker. So after another round clear, that brings us to the official start of wave number 2. The timing between the gravity field and the explosive grenade is important. But as usual, if anyone's going to ruin the party, it's those pesky melee. So the error here is that I didn't release the Sentinel turret, and that's why this one got away. Once I did realize my error though, I activated it to start the cooldown timer. And he instantly started putting in work. You can hear the Sentinel firing on the upper level. I have found that it severely messes with the enemy attack patterns and timing. And same thing goes for the gravity field and the explosive grenade. The AI has very clear attack patterns, and if you mess with those, it gets completely confused, just like this. In an ideal scenario, you want to pressure the melee and not let them put the pressure on you. If you have the opportunity to rush them, you can decide where the fight takes place and the attack pattern that follows. So right here in this scenario, the best option is to duck behind cover but not run away. Here's a tip when fighting the heavies with a ranged weapon. If you look away, they get excited and start to fire. It's a great way to bait them to drop the shield. And we love the unshielded ranged NPCs because they can just take the Perforator instantly. So I mentioned spice timing at the beginning of the run, and here's an example of why we do it. And you can see that my spice is just about to expire. And that brings us to the official start of wave number 3. So with the Sentinel in place, it's time to gravity field the door, then the explosive grenade. Follow up with the Perforator. Easy. Unshielded targets? Let's push them. But first, let's do a little shield management to make sure we're nice and full. Then fly in with the perforator over the top rope. This build really is a shotgunner's dream. Now that we have a heavy to deal with, let's use the entire strap. Sentinel first, gravity field second, explosive grenade third, perforate to finish. Thank you, Sentinel.
You're welcome, sir.
And that sound brings us to the official start of wave number 4. So unfortunately, Sentinel wasn't ready for the start of this round, so we had to do it without him. It was a bit more manageable with no heavy coming from this door. But at the start of each round, you always have to worry about the melee rushing in. My best advice when dealing with them is to not be scared. And what I mean by that is do not show the AI a pattern of movement like you are retreating. It's always better to try and stand your ground and wait for a parry than evade. If you do have to run away, run a short distance and then instantly hug a wall as soon as you can. And here's a great example of why we choose the Sentinel as our third ability. In this instance, it was the Sentinel that ruined the attack pattern of that melee. The hardest part of playing as a solo is that you have nobody else to take the aggro away. The entire time I was fighting on the top level, Sentinel was busy fighting down the bottom. Who's a good boy? Morg girl? You're always going to get the hard-hitting questions on this channel. Anyways, this whole time I've been respicing for the last round. But first we had to get rid of some stragglers. In each round as the melee are dealt with, you almost never have to use a blade. As long as you have enough light darts in your inventory. With this build, you can shoot to your heart's content. It's not ideal to call down Sentinel at the end of a round as you won't have him for the next round, but sometimes you gotta do it. And especially because as a solo, every fight is one-sided. Another tip here is I've noticed how delicate a spice activation can be. I make sure that I'm not going to take any damage or get rushed during the activation, as this does lead to losing the ability to see through walls. We have Spice activated, Sentinel in place, and that brings us to the start of wave number 5, the final wave. So here is Sentinel and I putting in work. Gravity field, explosive grenades, and constant pressure. And never forget the rushes. Here's one of those instances where the game just does not let you have your way. What the heck was that? Anyway, back to the fight. It's important to deal with this guy alone if possible, away from line of sight. As soon as he's out of the way, it's perforator time, baby. And here's reflexive reload kicking in to turn the perforator from a 3-shot to a 6-shot. As long as you have a grenade ready. It's important to deal with any range before you take on the heavies if possible. Here is an awesome clip how you utilize this build to its fullest. Sentinel, gravity field, explosive grenades, reflexive reload, perforator. absolutely melted. And ladies and gentlemen, that gets us an official 9 minutes 33 circular control room using the Trooper class. So let's have a quick look over the skills. The majority of our points come from the Trooper class, with our gravity field and explosive grenade as ability 1 and 2. Over to the Mentat, we have our third ability, the Sentinel. Rerouting and overcharge from the Planetologist. Our healing and vitality passives from the Bene Gesserit. And please ignore the knee charge and prescient strike, as these were from the previous build. But I will leave the full build link in the description. Going over to our armor, we have the full Trooper set, giving us 7% ability cooldowns on the gravity field and the explosive grenade. Our weapons of choice are the replica pulse knife and the perforator. Now I have to admit, it took many attempts to get something this fast. But it is good to know that the Trooper can keep up with the fastest. The Trooper was a tricky class to try and master and come up with builds for. Everybody seems to have a very different opinion about how a Trooper should be played, and that's the coolest part. So what did you guys think of the shotgun build? I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you have any variations on the build, I'd love to hear what they are. I'm so grateful to be making these videos and have a whole bunch of people wanting to watch them. The amount of likes and comments also have been super overwhelming. And I honestly appreciate every one of them. So if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for being here. If you found it informative, entertaining, or even both, please give it a like. And if it's your first time here on the channel, please subscribe, as we would love to have you. And guys, a little bonus question for anyone that made it this far. Would you like to see a Planetologist video next, or another iteration of one of the other classes? Please let me know in the comments. I will see you guys on the next one.